So I wanted to talk about adversity and when you feel like you've taken a step back, maybe you feel like you've taken a step back into the past, or you're not on point, you're not living your life the way you envisioned yourself to be living your life now. You're not infallible. And I realized this last night. I said to myself, I'm not infallible. That means that you make mistakes. We make mistakes. We do things that we said we wouldn't do. It's part of being human. You're human. And I think the sooner you come to the realization that you're not infallible, the more you have a healthy attitude to challenges and just a healthy attitude to life. You don't have this perfectionism, this ideal that you have to live up to, and if you don't live up to that, you're nothing and you're not worthy, and that's not healthy. So you're not infallible, and that's okay. You're human, and the people that criticize you and say you should be doing that and you ought to be doing this, they're not infallible either. Now, when I think about adversity, I think about my own adversity, what I've experienced, and in my early 20s I went through a lot of paranoia, feelings of hopelessness, shame, inadequacy, and now when I look back, if it wasn't for my adversity, I wouldn't have been inspired enough to search for knowledge. And like my man Bruce Lee over there said, all knowledge ultimately is self-knowledge. And if it weren't for the trials and tribulations and the sagas that I went through, I wouldn't really have been inspired to search for truth and knowledge and to study psychology and learn everything that I've learned about myself. Now, the thing with adversity, the Rocky movie, why did that movie reach cult status? If Rocky in that movie had it all plain sailing and he won every boxing match and he was the hero and he did it easily, it wouldn't have got cult status. The reason it got that status was the adversity that he faced and what he did with it and how he rose above it. So, in the context of everyday adversity and the kind of adversity that we face in this part of the world, it gives us an opportunity to rise above it, to grow. And eventually, when you have this healthy attitude towards life, it doesn't become struggle and strife. It becomes a challenge. And our challenges give us an opportunity to refine ourselves, to get in touch with limited beliefs that we're carrying around that aren't ours. It gives us an opportunity to let go of them. One of my favourite quotes in one of the Rocky movies is where he's saying to his son, it's not how hard you hit, it's how hard you can get hit and keep moving forwards. If you know your worth, then go out there and get your worth, but you've got to be willing to take the hit. So it's not how hard you can hit, how slick you are, and having it all plain sailing. He learned the most from life when life knocked him down. That's when he got his greatest teachings. That's when he discovered his inner strength, and I can vouch for that. The inner strength that I've discovered within myself that was always there, but I wasn't inspired to actually rise above the challenges put before me. I wasn't inspired to do that until I went through those trials and tribulations. And this is all in the context of my life. You know, if you're relating, I'm hoping that you might relate to this and you can apply it in your life. Everyone's different, and I don't know what you may be going through. So in that Rocky movie, the first one, there's a scene where he gets up at 4 a.m. in the cold and he gets out there and goes for his run. So, you know, where does that energy come from? And, you know, I don't think that energy comes so much from the body as it comes from the mind, because you can wake up, I could wake you up in the morning at 4 a.m. and you haven't got the energy to get up, you don't want to get up, you're staying in bed. Now, if I told you that there's $1 million at the end of the street, all you got to do is get your clothes on and go and collect the $1 million, and you can deposit it in your bank account. You would find the energy. Okay, you would get up, put your clothes on, and go to the end of the street. Now, I was lying in bed before I did the previous video where I woke up at 6 a.m. to go for a walk. I was lying in bed that night, and there was a sense of, you know, I knew I was going to get up in the morning, but there was just a feeling of, you know, what difference is it going to make? Not quite what's the point, but near enough a feeling of, you know, what's the point? It's not going to make much of a difference. I'm going to need months of getting up early for me to feel different about my life. And then I thought, no, you know what? It's enough that I'm doing something about it. I wasn't happy with the results in my life, and to start the day early, the way I enjoy starting the day, was enough for me. It was enough that I was doing something about it. So the $1 million at the end of the street, for me, was my self-respect. You know, my self-respect became the $1 million that was waiting for me at the end of the street. And that's what gave me the energy to get up and do that. And this morning, this feeling of enough, this feeling of it's good enough, I had that feeling this morning because I didn't feel too good yesterday, and I woke up this morning and I just kind of snapped my way out of that kind of victim way of thinking, and I said to myself, this is enough. I have a roof over my head, I can go downstairs and eat breakfast, I have food. I mean, I must be in the top 40% of the standard of living of people on this planet right now. Gratitude. So it's reminding myself to be grateful for what I already have. I still have an ambition to grow and to fulfill my own human needs and to be of service to others, but it's enough what I have. And there's a different energy that comes from being grateful. So I've been using the tip I expressed in the last video, where if there's a lack of motivation, all you do is you ask yourself, when have I ever regretted doing this? When have I ever regretted having a workout? When have I ever regretted sitting down for an hour and studying? You can use it the flip side as well, which is when you're about to do something which you're unsure whether it's really excitement or it's an attempt to run away from something. You ask yourself, when have I ever actually felt good after having done that? And this is really helping me right now. It's really about keeping all of these tools in the forefront of your mind. So it's where you want it enough to keep it in the forefront of your mind. So that's a tool that you can use. Something I came across where somebody said, if you don't take action, you're basically telling the universe that you don't want what you say you want. And that made me think, like, wow, you know, when I get the opportunity to take action, and I think, I'll do it tomorrow. I carry around this notion of it doesn't matter what my thoughts and actions are today. I can be the person that I want to be tomorrow. Now, every positive effort attracts a positive return. So we can't play this game of what I do today doesn't matter and I can be the person I want to be tomorrow. It doesn't quite work that way. So you got to make the incentive big enough for you to take action on it, and also make the consequences big enough to drive you forwards. We tell fibs to ourselves, and when we really sit down and contemplate, you know, what is the consequence of me not stepping forwards into the unknown and facing this thing. And the thing with facing this thing, you know, this thing, the unknown, the only thing that you're going to discover in the unknown is more of yourself. That's my belief. That's how I approach my world. So you can try that on. If it doesn't work for you, put it on the shelf and you can take it down at a later point and try it on then. So I've heard it from many different people that, you know, there is nothing out there but more of yourself, an opportunity to discover more of yourself, to get in touch. If fear shows up, it gives you an opportunity to get in touch with the darker areas and gives you an opportunity to let go of those things. So you're not choosing fear, you're choosing love. So I hope you got something from that. Catch you later. Peace.